Food is feed.
That's right. The companies that make dog and cat food follow the same regulations used for animal feed. Susan Thixton has been fighting to change that for 25 years after her dog died from bone cancer.
A tumor popped up on her almost overnight.
Her vet linked it to a chemical preservative in her dog food. That preservative, ethoxyquin, is still okayed by the FDA, and there's more.
Who would think that FDA allows a dead animal that laid in the field for 3 days to be recycled into pet food?
The FDA permits meat from animals that died without being slaughtered. But according to the Pet Food Manufacturers Trade Group, safety is its top priority, and
they don't use non-slaughtered meat.
Just this year, 2 brands of canned dog food were pulled after a dog died from ingesting a drug used to euthanize animals. Evangers, the company behind one of the recalled foods, is now suing a supplier, saying what they thought was beef turned out to be horse meat. Evangers tells us, quote, "We will never purchase from this beef supplier ever again. We immediately initiated even more new testing methods and are testing every single beef product before being shipped." Joe Wachschlag is a leading pet nutritionist at Cornell University.
It's left up to the consumer to know that it's safe.
The FDA does regulate pet food, but lets a private organization, AAFCO, set the standards for ingredients and labeling. AAFCO has zero regulatory authority and keeps its rules about feed and ingredients private unless you pay for a copy. And right now, there are few safeguards in place for things like the commonly used ingredient, meat meal.
You have to call the company and say, is your meat meal coming from a renderer, or is the meat actually coming from a USDA certified facility? And those are the things we just don't really know.
According to AAFCO, if meat comes from a renderer or leftover plant, it's typically identified as meals. The FDA tells us there's no required testing of product by pet food manufacturers. So who's minding the store? According to the FDA, manufacturers are responsible for taking appropriate steps to ensure the food they produce is safe for consumption and properly labeled.
If they can't really tell you exactly what they're doing, then you probably should be looking for another pet food company.
To that end, his best advice is to call the company and ask point blank, what are you doing before and after production to make sure the ingredients are safe? Where are they sourced from, and what are you testing for? Get those answers before you buy the food. For On the Money, I'm Andrea Day.